Welcome to Pastoring on Purpose, the official podcast of the Center for Ministerial Care. Coming to you live from the floor of the 2026 Church of God International General Assembly in beautiful Orlando, Florida.
Welcome to another episode of Pastoring on Purpose here in Orlando. I am here with our other co-host, Jeff Sargent. Jeff, say hello to everybody.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be back on the podcast this afternoon, live from the General Assembly, although this is a recording, but we are live at the General Assembly, right? So it's fantastic. Looking forward to this next podcast.
You can't see this. I didn't realize this, but Jeff is wearing a purple tie, and I'm wearing a purple shirt, so we kind of match.
Later we will be singing at the Teen Talent. I think that's what we'll be doing, and we're preparing for that, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
All right.
Today we have Pastor, I always refer to you as Pastor Mitch Maloney. You're Pastor.
Still am.
Still are. Of Real Life Village, a ministry committed to helping people move with simply attending church to truly belonging in biblical community. You've pastored a long time, right? How many years were you in pastoral ministry? 50. Tell us about the birth of Real Life Village. And I know this is a ministry that's really close to you, to your wife's heart, and kind of give our listeners out there that may not know about this ministry or about your own journey, how that kind of got birthed.
Pastored for a long time, and when we were in Detroit, we were looking forward to having twins, and they were born and seemingly perfect when they were born, Brandon and Jonathan. What happened was things started to change, and they started having seizures, for one thing, and we had to deal with that. When they would have a seizure, they would be transported to a hospital, and they get them stabilized, but then things just gradually got worse, and then we realized that they weren't developing normally, emotionally, mentally, and all of that. So we went through all kinds of gyrations, trying to figure out what in the world was going on. And eventually, the diagnosis was autism. We didn't know anything about that at the time. That's where it started, and they participate in church, children's church, and all of that. But then it was obvious as their peers started were normal, so to speak, that they weren't normal. We eventually got the diagnosis of autism. And so people would say, what are you going to do about your boys? And I said, well, we take care of our sons. But then as we got older, began to think, what's going to happen when we can't, because there's nobody there that's going to take care of them for us. So we came up with the idea of Real Life Village. And it's a campus for adults with autism, Down syndrome, and we will have a counseling center there for families going through what we did, because it was a long journey getting through all that. We went to one particular doctor in Atlanta, and they did some tests, and I promise you, the day that they did the test, the bill was $11,000.
Oh my goodness!
And I had to pay walking out the door, so I had 2 credit cards.
My goodness!
Put $5,000 on whatever. Yeah.
You just do what you have to do.
Yeah, you do what you have to do. But my wife, as you know, is a counselor, board certified Christian counselor.
Absolutely.
And with a specialty in autism now.
Wow. You pastor North Cleveland. It's
right.
kind of a well-known church, right?
It is.
Yes.
And to do that, and then also to be the dad, the father, the husband, raising 2 children who are not children any longer. How old are they now?
35.
I can imagine the kind of stress that would, entail. What was that like, and what have you been able to do yourself to kind of help you with that stress? You just mentioned the financial burden. Right? That's on top of that kind of.
Financially, most people just do what they have to do, and it's tough. Yeah. But we were able, through some people at North Cleveland that were connected with some funds, with Medicaid, and so what that did, provided caregivers. Caregivers could take them anywhere in town, and so Brandon and Jonathan, most people that are autistic are more withdrawn.
Yeah.
Brandon and Jonathan are not withdrawn. They're more outgoing.
They are. Gregarious. Yes, one might say. Yes. Friendly fellows.
They never meet a stranger.
Yeah.
And there's a guy in Cleveland, he's very wealthy. You'd know him if I mentioned the name, and has a big jet, and the boys go out to the airport with a caregiver. And this guy was sitting there. Brandon just goes up and says, "Hi, my name is Brandon. What's yours?"
Wow.
And they have a big conversation. And when the guy is going up the steps to his plane, he turned around and waved at Brandon and Jonathan.
Yeah.
And they were excited that he talked to them,
Wow.
Yeah.
So the program that you're creating, is it a day program? Is it residential? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, it is a day program, and we just launched June 22nd, just a month ago. We are getting ready to build our first building. That will be the community building that will house the day programs next year. So, but beyond that, we plan to do housing, residential. Okay. And so the clients that we have, we call them villagers. So the clients that will be there, they'll have their own apartment, about 325 square feet, their own shower, living room area, kitchen, some recreational things. But in that community building, we'll do lunch and dinner, and they can do their breakfast in their house that they live in.
Okay.
And so it'll be a secure place, not a lockdown place. But, I mean, like our guys, they go everywhere.
Yeah.
And that won't stop because we build Real Life Village.
Yeah. This is a big undertaking, too.
It is.
Right. I mean, it is really impressive to me what you all have been able to do. Kind of share with me, you named it Real Life Village. How did you come up with that name?
Special needs people, a lot of times, people don't know how to deal with them or even communicate with them. And they're marginalized. And so we want things to be as normal as they can possibly be for our sons and daughters.
Sure.
So we're going to create an atmosphere where our villagers are treated well. It's biblically based. It's based on care. I mean, and a touch of love there.
Yeah.
And so with the people that we just hired for our day program, very well qualified, but personalities are gentle, but they have experience and they knowledge on how to deal with different quirks that people have. Like with Brandon and Jonathan, I would pray every day as we'd go to school. I'd take them to school. And we'd pray a big prayer. I'm the head, not the tail, above, not beneath, and going through all that covenant stuff.
Sure.
And I took him one morning, and Brandon was fine. But 10 minutes later, I got called back to the school. And when I got there, Brandon was sitting at a desk with a computer, and the school cop was right behind him. I said, "What's going on?" And what had happened was, because he didn't respond as well, it was a medication thing. Because a lot of medications will hit him hard sometimes, and they just would slow him down. And he didn't respond. She took him into the small workroom, was going to punish him by putting him in that room. And autistic people will not look you in the eye many times. And she reached up to turn his head toward her, and he just brushed her hands out of the way. That didn't last very long.
Not bad.
Because the principal, he said, "Pastor," he said, "is a clear case of overreaction on her part."
Yeah.
And I said, "I don't want anybody's job, but I want him moved out of this classroom."
Yeah.
And so they moved him. We never had another incident like that the whole rest of the time in school.
Wow.
Yeah, but people don't know how to deal with people with autism and other syndromes like that.
Yes.
And it's kind of like you said, it's not that they don't care. They don't know how to.
Right.
So it's really an education thing.
Yeah.
For our ministers out there, our pastors out there, what suggestion would you give them to help them perhaps be more open and welcoming to special needs?
People with autism have different levels of symptoms that can manifest, and they can get loud in church or whatever, disruptive. And so a lot of families with autistic children don't go to church. And so we started providing care for people with autism and other things like that. But the statistics are staggering. When Brandon and Jonathan were diagnosed, it was 1 in every 150 births would eventually be on the autism spectrum somewhere. And today, it's 1 in every 31 births. And with males, it's 3 times more prevalent than it is with females.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's actually like 1 in 9 with male births now. Churches need to find a way and train people how to deal with people with autism or Down syndrome. And you know what? Some of the sweetest people in the world, Brandon and Jonathan.
Absolutely.
And a young lady that we interviewed with her parents for our day program about 2 weeks ago. She was as sweet as could be, and she quoted a Bible verse, and she was so proud that she could quote that scripture, and I gave her a big high five, but she's coming into our program in the next 2 weeks. And so we can make a difference for a lot of families, but this is something that needs to be done in cities like Cleveland, Dalton, Georgia, Chattanooga, Athens, Tennessee, wherever people are. If you can get the community involved, that's huge.
What has Brandon and Jonathan taught you as a dad throughout the years?
Basically, they love God, they love people, and they deserve a chance to live real life. So that's why we're doing Real Life Village.
How can people find more about Real Life Village? Where can they go? Is there a way people can give? Kind of share with our audience about that.
Website, reallifevillage.com.
Okay.
There's actually a video, 2 minutes, 43 seconds, that would do a lot better job telling you what we're doing than I just did. And it's very concise and to the point. We are located right now, at the Westmore Church.
Okay.
And we're using their student ministry building. And so that's for this year, but next year be in our own building. People, if they need help to find a counselor and to find out what kind of resources are available, we can help them do that.
Excellent. Pastor Maloney, we love and appreciate you, man. We really do. I don't think I'm out of step by saying one of the best. And so thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for sharing the story. And I think our listeners are going to. This story is going to get them to think more creatively at some of the ministers about what they're providing at their churches, and they're going to have to, as you revealed there in the statistics that you presented to us, that they're going to think more creatively about how we can serve our community.
Absolutely.
This is the way it was initially. The state did not want us to exist because they didn't like what we were going to do, and they had situations years ago where they had to shut a lot of programs down, and they were terrible. And we understood that. But they basically told us, you're not going to exist.
Wow.
And we found out about a pilot program for Franklin, Tennessee. There's a group called Brightstone, faith-based, and they were approved as a pilot program. They did one for West Tennessee. So I told our director, Billy Worsham, I said, Billy, apply to be a pilot program for East Tennessee. It took us a year to get there. But we went through the Senate and the House of Representatives with not one no vote. The governor signed it into law.
Wow.
And so we are now licensed with the state of Tennessee. We did our own policy and procedure manual, and we're in business.
Wow. Does that ever happen with the government?
Not usually.
Not usually, right?
Not usually.
Pastor Maloney, thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome. God
Really
bless
do
you
appreciate
guys.
it.
Bless you.
Well, this has been Pastor Maloney, myself, Ryan, and Jeff Sargent. We'll see you next time on Pastoring on Purpose. And until then, God bless.